up, everyone? It is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace. It's time to get into all the new blushes that have come out. So since so many new luxury blushes have come out, I figured I'd just do a cute little swatch party. You can swatch all the colors side by side, see if they differ, if they're the same, and then you have a certain formula that you like, that you have seen in past videos. You can go ahead and try that out. So I'm even including the new Gucci blushes I just got today. Now I have not worn them yet. I have not put them on my face. I was supposed to do a video on them today and I forgot because I was so excited to finally use the color Rosewood from Dior. Y'all don't know how long I had to wait for it. I went to 2 different stores and Rosewood was the only shade that was sold out. They had all the other shades, but Rosewood was gone. So I had to try it on my face today. I just had to because I had waited so long to get it. So without further ado, let's get into these blushes because y'all know I'll sit here and talk for 20 minutes about nothing. So I got Pat McGrath's cream blush. So I figured we can start off with that. Let me a little bit closer there. I got the shade Divine Rose because y'all know Mother loves Divine Rose the way Charlotte Tilbury loves Pillow Talk. Like, that's how Mother is about it. So I figured I could start off by swatching that one. The video for this should already be up by the time this video goes up because I'm planning on putting this video up toward the end of next week. And the Pat McGrath video should be up on Sunday on the 11th because today's the 10th. So yeah, it'll be up today. Today's video was, do you really need the new ABH palette? So here is what the shade Divine Rose looks like from Mother. I feel like the shade Rosewood from Dior is going to look gorgeous on top of this. So I guess I'll start off by swatching that shade. That's the one that's actually on my cheeks right now. I feel like it's lightly pigmented, but you know, it's a nice little soft wash of color for people who like a soft wash of color. But I'm going to swatch that one first because I'm telling y'all, I was so excited. This was the one that I was like, this could be an everyday blush for when, you know, I don't want to put on too much blush and I don't know which blush to wear because I have a few like that are close to my skin tone, but I wanted a like softer one that wasn't like the really bright pink, but it wasn't like really close to my skin tone either. So I feel like this was a good color for that. So I have to swatch this shade a few times though because since y'all know it's not, their blushes aren't that pigmented, if you will, unless you put them on top of a cream. Then I feel like they're more pigmented. Like right now I've been swatching this like 3 or 4 times just to get the color to show up on my hand so you can get an idea. But I really like the shade and I feel like on top of the right cream blush it'll be perfect. Like I feel like if Danessa Myricks has a cream shade that's close to this color, I would definitely grab it because I feel like it'll be more pigmented in that regard. So there's Rosewood right there, y'all. I've been loving this shade so far. I haven't had it on that long. I put on my makeup at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and it's only like 5:30, close to 6 o'clock. Yes, 5:40, so it hasn't been on that long, but I'm obsessed. I guess I can go ahead and swatch the cream blushes from Makeup by Mario too, because I have 4 of, I think, like 5 shades he has. I got the peachy one in the mail along with the Rosewood blush that I just showed you all, but let's swatch all this stuff first, then we'll worry about the Makeup by Mario last. Next, I have the shade Berry. I was so excited that I saw Berry in store too because it's quite deep in the pan and it actually looks like I have a bruise on my face if I use too much of it. So I guess that's good because that means it's dark enough for other people with deeper skin tones. Because it looks like it has a bruise on me, I feel like it'll look a little bit better on them. It won't look like a bruise, it'll look more like a natural everyday color. But on me, when I put too much of this on, and I put it underneath the cream blush from Makeup by Mario, the Berry tone one, and it gives a lot of like depth, if you will. So I feel like it runs pretty deep, at least on some of my skin tone. As you can see, that's it right there, and it looks pretty deep. So I love the coloring that gives off. I just think it's stunning. Next, let's get into Mahogany because honey, I was like concerned about Mahogany, but I told y'all again, my girl Daff Makeup, or Daff Makeup here on YouTube and on Instagram. You should definitely check out her Instagram. I feel like she's more active on Instagram and YouTube, but she's starting to get more into making YouTube videos. I think maybe she only makes YouTube videos about when she's like truly interested in a product instead of just having like a normal amount of videos that she makes. At least that's what I noticed on her channel. But here is the shade Mahogany. What I love about the shade Mahogany is I can use it as a everyday bronze. I can use it as a bronzer, like a glowy bronzer, or I can use it as a blush. So it's like when you don't have time to put on bronzer and blush, I feel like you can put on your cream bronzer. You can dust this all around the places that you bronze your face, and then you can come up and move it up a little bit forward just to have it as a blush as well. So it's like 2 for 1 special for people my skin tone. So I think it's genius of them to make such a shade, especially since when they first started off they only had the pink shade and the coral shades, and neither one of those shades work for, you know, as a whole for like people in the community. For me, unless you're gonna like maneuver and make and do a whole lot to make it work like I had to. So I like the fact that they added shades that work for everybody's skin tone. So the last new one that I have is the shade Cherry. I have all the shades, but I just wanted to show the new ones today because I did bring the, I brought one, but I forgot to bring the other one. So I forgot to bring the coral shade, but I did bring the pink shade because, you know, everybody's obsessed with these pink shades nowadays. So I made sure I brought it. But again, I'm not going to show it today because I already, you know, I think I already did a video on it, or I've shown it in a video before, so I don't feel the need to do it now. We're just trying to focus on what's new right now, girl. I love the Cherry shade like the best. I like all the shades for different reasons, but I feel like Cherry is the one I'm going to use the most in the summertime along with Rosewood. So I feel like I'm going to use these two in the summertime, and then probably Mahogany. I feel like the Berry I'll hold off on until fall, even though I've been wearing the Berry right now with the cream. But that's all the Dior blushes. Now we're going to do Giorgio Armani ones. I want to save the Gucci ones for last since they're the newest ones in my collection that I haven't even used yet. So this will be actually my first time using them. And I'll be swatching them, which is crazy because I prefer to put it on my face first and then do swatches. But, you know, since I forgot to do it today and I want to get this video done so I can take all my blushes home and actually use them, not them just be sitting in the box here waiting to film this video, I was like, we just going to have to take the L because, I mean, it is my fault. I forgot to do that video today, so I'll do it tomorrow and just, you know. So next I have shade 30 from the Giorgio Armani Beauty blush. It's more of a like peachy-ish corally shade. The thing is, I feel like these are really lightly pigmented as well. I just go around the edges. I try not to mess with the embossment, so I'm just running my finger around in a circle around this part where the embossment isn't to get pigmentation. I feel like these take a lot to get pigmentation from as well, so it's like you have to build it up quite a bit. So with the ones like this, I usually just go ahead and put them with a I have to put them on top of a cream because that's the only way I feel like they're really pigmented and showing my skin tone. But I prefer to put these with the Danessa Myricks one because it just brightens it up a bit. The Danessa Myricks shades I have work well with these, so I put the Danessa Myricks on and then I put this on top to make Danessa Myricks a little bit brighter. But I know I'll have like some pigmentation there to back up the shade because, honey, it takes a minute to build this up to get any sort of color for a swatch. So here is shade 30. I forgot the name of this shade because they just put the numbers on the back. They don't put the name. So that's shade 30 right there, but I had to build it up quite a bit to get the pigmentation that you're seeing. So just keep that in mind. You're gonna have to build it up a bit, girl. But if you're a person who likes a lightly pigmented blush, I feel like that works for you because people usually want blush to be buildable. They don't want it to be pigmented out the gate. Like the Cover of Excellence, those are very pigmented blushes off the bat, and honey, you end up having to spray your face and pat down and do a whole bunch of stuff to maneuver. So next I have is shade 40. It's supposed to be similar to like the red shade from, excuse me, House Labs, or the cherry shade from Dior. So y'all don't understand how excited I was when the Dior blushes came out with more shades, because it's like I liked the corally one, but I always had to put a cream underneath in order to make it work, because otherwise it was like invisible on my skin tone, and I was like, I'm not feeling it. No, I'm not feeling it. Now I feel like this red shade is a little bit lighter and deeper at the same time than the cherry shade from Dior, if that makes any sense. To me, it gives more of a strawberry vibe than a cherry vibe. I think that's like the best way to describe it and what I meant to say. It gives definitely a more strawberry vibe than a cherry vibe, in my personal opinion. But y'all can comment down below and tell me what you think when you look at this swatch. But to me, it just gives more strawberry. And I'll show them both side by side. So, as you can see in the pan, I feel like they look somewhat similar. But to me, this one just looks brighter when you put it on the face versus this one. At least in my personal experience. So here's what it looks like. See, this is the Giorgio Armani one, and this is the Dior one. See how the Dior one is deeper and truly looks like a cherry, whereas I feel like this just looks like a lighter kind of ashy strawberry raspberry-ish shade. But they both supposed to be like a reddish type shade, so I found that interesting. I was like, I feel like the best way to describe it is like the cherry one matches my lipstick, and this one just, it's not giving what I was hoping to give. Now the berry one, of course, number 60 is the one that works best for me, and I feel like it's lighter than the shade berry from Dior. So I feel like all the Dior ones actually run pretty deep, which is funny because when they first started out, like, they only had those 2 really bright shades, but I feel like they did a good job of working and making deeper tone shades. To me, this berry shade is more on the like burgundy-ish side. It kind of reminds me more of Warm Berry from Gucci that you'll see in a minute. I'll try to make sure I swatch it directly next to it so you can get a better idea, but this is the berry shade from Giorgio Armani, and as you see, it has more of like a, I feel like it has more of a burgundy-ish berry tone to it, whereas I feel like the Dior one right here has a truly purple one, and they're both supposed to be berry tone shades. But again, in the pan, y'all saw how deep the Dior was versus how light this Giorgio Armani one is. So Giorgio Armani need to get on Dior's level, but at least I feel like they tried to make colors that worked for everybody when they first started off. Dior had to play catch up, so it's like they needed to be extra above and beyond to make sure everything was right, because it's like you had to play catch up because you didn't have these shades originally for everybody to use. So okay, so now let's get into these Gucci blushes. Those are the last ones we're gonna have to talk about in this video when it comes to powder ones. I just started off with the cream one because I didn't necessarily plan on putting the Gucci one, I mean the Makeup by Mario was in here because I said luxury, and Makeup by Mario is in luxury. He's more like on the affordable high end or mid-range kind of product, if you will, so I didn't want to necessarily put them in here, but I'm like, since they're here, you're here, we're all here, y'all know the drill, I'm gonna just go ahead and do it. So let's start off with I was going to start off with them according to number, but I'm going to just do Warm Berry first because I want you all to see how similar, in my personal opinion, it looks to the Giorgio Armani one. And I still feel like it might be a little bit deeper than the Giorgio Armani one. The thing I'll say about the Gucci ones is I feel like you don't have to swatch nearly as much as I had to do with Giorgio Armani. Like with Giorgio Armani, I feel like I had to swatch and swatch and swatch. And I feel like I'll swatch for like 20-30 minutes. I know I talked to Danessa Makeup about this color as well, and she's talking about it was one of her favorites, and I'm like, it's one of my favorites too when it comes to Gucci blushes, but you know, berry tones just seem to work on people, our skin tone the best, so I feel like it makes sense that we like those tones the best. But see how similar they are? Like, this is the Gucci one, and this is the Giorgio Armani one. So I feel like they look pretty similar in tone. I feel like the Gucci one is a little bit deeper, but I feel like the undertones of them are the same. This one has a tad bit more berry to it than this one. To me, this really gives off more burgundy than necessarily berry. Or I guess like what I traditionally think of as berry, which is more on the deep purple end. Like the Dior here, again, I think when I think of berry tones, I think of more of the Dior, not necessarily the way the Gucci and the Giorgio Armani look. So that's why it was interesting to me when I put them on. I'm like, those are different tones of berries as opposed to what I'm normally accustomed to. Now we're gonna get into the Radiant Pink, because y'all know pinks were popular. I've been getting into pink blush over like the last year or so, and finding that I actually feel like it looks pretty nice on my skin, so that's why I don't mind necessarily having pink ones. One thing is this pink is pretty light, so I have to put it like on top of a base to make sure it stays on my skin tone. It's actually kind of giving me the vibes of a lighter version of Rosewood. Like if Rosewood had a little bit more pink to it, I feel like it would look more like Radiant Pink. But this is what Radiant Pink looks like right here. As you can see, she's quite bright and kind of ashy, to be perfectly honest, but with the cream underneath it that is of a deeper tone, I find that it works pretty nicely for me, so that's the way I use it. I don't be afraid to try out these colors, you know. Now if it's too light and ashy, then I'll be like, ho girl, like I'm trying to get crazy like that. But you know, I'll use a lighter blush, or at least try it out so we can have an idea of what it looks like. Now we're gonna get into the new shade. So I bought the shade Soft Red and Intense Plum. Of course I need to be the lighter pink. I already have Radiant Pink and a few other pink blushes that I can work with. So we're gonna start with the shade Soft Red. This is what it looks like, but to me it doesn't look red. Like, this is just me, y'all. Does that look red to you? Like, I don't know. It's not giving red vibes, but they're calling it red, so I'm like, okay, I guess we can go with you calling it red or whatever. I don't know. So some people said they feel like it looked more orange than red. I'm like, maybe they meant like a orangish red and they just called it, you know, like soft red. I don't know. So I'm gonna try to swatch it toward the front of the hand. Yeah, it's definitely giving off more corally vibes, if anything, not like what they called it. I would think about mixing this with the cherry shade from Dior. Or it reminds me of the Giorgio Armani Beauty shade that we swatched in 30, the lightest one I have, because it's definitely giving off the vibe of that. See what I'm saying? Like, doesn't it look like this one right here? I feel like both of those look really similar, but they're calling this red. That clearly looks peachy-ish orange, but they're calling it red. So I'm like, okay, but it definitely reminds me of shade 30 from Giorgio Armani Beauty. So here's what both of them look like side by side. See? It's definitely giving off the vibes of that. I feel like the Gucci one is going to give you more pigmentation though. So if you're interested in a shade like this, I'd say go with the Gucci one because you don't have to build it up as much. If you like to build up your blush in like an extremely soft blush, then I feel like you like Giorgio Armani better. But I prefer the Gucci one when it comes to that because I feel like it takes quite a bit of time to build up these Giorgio Armani ones. But I like a more pigmented blush, so it's not necessarily the thing for me. But I have them, I tried them out, and now I know for future reference that I would prefer to get some other luxury blushes over those, but you don't know till you try it, right? Next I have Intense Plum. That's the deepest one that they have besides Warm Berry. So I'm gonna swatch this on the other end now with the other ones. The way they describe these shades to me is interesting. To me, this is giving off more of a fuchsia-ish pink shade than plum. I always love how they describe certain blushes, but then I feel like they end up not looking the way they say they're going to, and I'm just like, very interesting. So here is Intense Plum down there. You see how it doesn't really, I don't know, to me it gives more fuchsia than plum in my personal opinion. Looking at it, looks similar to some of the other shades that I already have. Like it looks similar to the deepest tone from the Giorgio Armani blushes. As weird as that is, it's really giving similarities to that in my personal opinion. But in the pan, they don't even look the same. That's what's weird about it. But swatched on my arm, I feel like these two shades look the same. This looks a little bit deeper than this one, but to me they look pretty similar on my arm. I'll swatch them directly side by side so you can see what I'm talking about, but I'm like, I definitely feel like this shade looks really similar to the Giorgio Armani one. I'll swatch them toward the top of my hand so we can have a better idea, because I didn't know how many of them were going to look similar, so that's why I was like, I'm just swatching down the arm and you can see what's going on with that. Okay, so here's both of them side by side. This is the Gucci one, and then this is the Giorgio Armani one. But see how they look pretty similar? I think there's that much depth and berry when it comes to the Giorgio Armani versus the Gucci one. But otherwise, I feel like they look pretty similar as well. So that's interesting. Definitely was not expecting that. I'm going to try each one of these on my face as far as wearing them out tomorrow. So you all can get a cute little video for it come sometime this week. I don't know when, but let me go wash all this off my hands. So take your good last look of all the different shades. Y'all remember we started off with Mother here. So the cream is Mother. This is the new Gucci shade. These are Giorgio Armani, sorry, Gucci and Giorgio Armani together. These are all the Dior shades right here. Then these three are the Giorgio Armani Beauty. Then these three are the other Gucci Beauty blushes. So we got a whole little arm swatch. I tried to hold it there so you all could pause and look at it one more time, because we about to get into these Makeup by Mario cream ones real quick, and then I will round up this video and call it a day, girl. Zoo child. But everybody's so obsessed with blush, so I wanted to give y'all like an in-depth look at all the different blushes. I'm just grabbing out of the box because I got a whole nother video I gotta film after this pertaining to how I mix stuff, and some of these were gonna be in it. So I have not used the shade Just Peachy yet. This is the one I got in at the same time I got the rosy blush in, so this is what she looks like. I like to use these underneath like the Dior blushes. That's why I ended up buying the rest of the colors, because at first I was like, y'all saw the pigmentation was not given, it was not for me, but with the Dior blushes on top, it just gives it this extra wonderful look. So this is one I have on now, which is Rose Crush along with Rosewood from Dior. Then I have Pretty Pink, I'm sorry, Perfect Pink. Y'all know I did this one originally in the video alongside the berry one, so I think I had this one on, and then I think I used the berry on the other side. I might have just used this one, I don't honestly remember. I think I did just use the pink one on its own now that I think about it. And then I have, what is it, Berry Punch? Yeah, this is the deepest one, and this looks exceptionally stunning with the Dior blush and berry. Like, they are a match made in heaven. They look so good together, and it lasts on the face so much longer with that underneath it. Because I've noticed that I feel like these don't last so long. So I'm gonna start off with the one that's on my face right now, and I'm thinking about swatching like the Dior blush with it on top of it after I show you all this, just so you can see how it like looks on its own. So I'm gonna do one swatch of it on its own, then I'm gonna go over with the Dior blush on top of it, so you can see what I was talking about with the gorgeous finish, because that's the way I love to wear these. Like, I am obsessed with wearing them like that. Sorry, there's a box over there, and literally right in front of where I put my makeup that has it that way. So let me go ahead and swatch these other two. So let me swatch it again, and then I'm going to swatch it with powder on top of it to give you an idea of what it will look like. But I am obsessed with the combo of like blending both these together. I just feel like it gives the extra dewy moment, but like it sets the cream at the same time, because I can't just wear the cream on its own because I have oily combination skin. So it is just the perfect combination for me. So here we go. This is the Makeup by Mario on its own, and this is it with the Gucci shade in Rosewood on top of it. Since it's rose crushed and rosewood, I feel like the colors will go good together. I want to try it with my L'Oreal ones as well though, because I want to try like the L'Oreal cream, the L'Oreal shade, and I think it's called Rose something. I think it's the Rosewood shade as well on top of that shade Rose Crush that's on my hand now. I'll do that another time. But next, let's get into the next one I want to do. Now with these other ones, I might not necessarily swatch a shade on top because I forgot to bring the Dior blush that goes with this just peachy shade, so I can just swatch Makeup by Mario's peachy shade on top of that. But next, I'm going to do the pink one, and I'm going to put the pink Dior blush on top of it as well. So this is pretty pink, and then I'm going to put the Dior pink shade that they originally came out with on top of it as a comparison. Now, I haven't done this in real life yet. I have brought it over here just to show you all for this video, but I have not done it yet. So we're going to go ahead and swatch. Now let's get the second swatch up so we can put this shade on top. Y'all, I just love putting these Dior blushes on top because I feel like it just gives that extra oomph that was missing to it, and gives that extra glowy effect that the cream was supposed to give, but I had to set it because I have oily combination skin. I think that's really what my love of the Dior blushes on top of it is. So this is the pink shade on its own, perfect pink, and this is with it, the Dior blush on top. As you can see, it doesn't look nearly as light because the cream has a base to it that's deeper than the blush. So that's another reason I don't mind having this pink one right here, because it's like on top of it, it looks more like an appropriate pink for someone my skin tone. So just something to think about if you were looking at the pink shade, because pink blush is all the rage right now. That's my combination. Now, I know it's an expensive combination, so I'm not telling you to go out and do that. I'm just saying if you want to see how it works out on some of my skin tone, you see it works out better when you put it underneath a cream that's of a deeper shade. Next, we got Berry Punch. I'm going to end it off with the peachy one and the Makeup by Mario one underneath that, on top of that, just because I don't have my Dior one to show you with it on top, which I'm really sad about because I swore I had packed both of them, but I did not, like a whole clown. So here we are, and that's my fault. So no one else to blame but me. Although I guess we could put the cherry shade on top of it and see how that would look, since that is the one I have here and it is somewhat close in tone, because cherry and peach could be similar. So I guess we can do it like that as opposed to putting the Makeup by Mario on, because the Makeup by Mario shade is actually like a little more muted, and I feel like it's not going to bring out the color that's in the cream if I do it that way. So I think we're going to end up with that one instead. So I'm just putting the Dior blush on top of it. The Dior blush actually deepens it up a little bit, makes it a little bit darker, and gives it more of like a red wine, I feel, type of feel to it, or truly like deep purple look to it. And I love this combination as well. I've worn this one at least like 2 days in a row this week, so I tells you my love of it. So here is Berry Punch on its own, and then this is with the Dior Berry shade on top. I really love this combination. It's one of my favorites to use. And last but certainly not least, we have Just Peachy. So this is my first time swatching into this as well, and then we're gonna put the shade Cherry on top of it because I feel like it could be like an interesting combination, if you will. So let's try it out and see. I might end up liking this better than putting the coral one with it. I'll have to find out sometime next week because I'm gonna try to wear it sometime next week to kind of get an idea. It's definitely a muted type peachy shade for sure, but it's a nice color. I feel like Mario always does a good job of picking nice colors. I like the fact that he picked colors for this collection that matched with his powders, so that way you could just put his powders on top of it if you wanted to, or you could use other colors like I'm doing. One thing I would say, I love the colors that he picks. I always like just about everything and want to buy just about everything. So it's an interesting color combination. Not necessarily mad at stuff. I think it's very interesting and unique. I'm liking the kind of gradient it's given. So here is what the last one looks like, since I just swatched it so far down. So this is the peachy shade on its own, and this is with the cherry shade on top. I actually think it looks kind of nice. I'm not disappointed or mad about it. You know, it looks nice. So okay, those are all the blushes I have in my collection that I just got. I do have one more. I have the Makeup by Mario Just Stick one. I guess we could swatch that really quick. I have the shade Raspberry. It was like a unique and different shade that I don't have in my collection, so I was like, let me go ahead and try that out. So I'll swatch that toward the top of my hand, and I think it just was like a stick version of what I got going on right now. So that's the shade right there, Raspberry. I thought this was a gorgeous shade, so I was like, I have to have it in my collection because, like, look at that. Look how stunning that is. Now I wonder how the Makeup by I wonder how the blush would look on top of that, because I'm thinking like maybe put cherry on top of that, or put the traditional pink Dior blush on top of that, just to see how it would look on top of a shade like this. Because since this shade's more welcoming to some of my skin tone, I feel like the Dior blush on top of that might be a little bit more fun and my skin tone type friendly. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'll definitely be trying to use that this week too. So I got a couple of blushes I'm gonna try to use this week in conjunction with other things that I feel like will work out for me nicely. But those are all the things I had to talk about with you all today, or all the blushes I had to show you today. Because girl, I mean, it's just blush city out here. Like, everybody is obsessed and in love with blush. It's really popular right now. I feel like blush and pink powder is the things that's popular right now. So I have done a video on a pink powder if you were interested in how pink powder looks on someone with my skin tone. I bought the Huda one during the Sephora sale in April, so you can watch my Sephora try-on haul. It's either part 1 or part 2 I put that one in. You can tell by the thumbnail because I'm pretty sure I put the picture of that up there, so y'all would remember that I got it. But those are all the blushes I have to talk about. Look for the Gucci blush video coming sometime next week. It should be up before this video is up, but just in case it isn't, make sure you look for it. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful to you if you're looking for luxury blushes. I've done luxury videos on all these different blushes and talked about the different formulas and whatnot. So if you wanted in-depth with that, depending on a particular one, you can go ahead and go check those out. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.